What is going on, crypto family? This is your boy Random Arts coming with a quick video. And on this video, guys, we're going to take a look at MURAD's criteria when it comes to meme coin. Now, one thing that I've been seeing lately, especially when the market have a downturn, I've been seeing this man get a lot of hate based upon his thesis, based upon what he has said. And to me, it's very unfair for people to just try to judge his criteria or judge his way of thinking when it comes to meme coin, all due to the fact that the market has a downturn. Again, market has downturns all the time, but that does not mean your thesis in itself is dead. Like, people who don't have a background in trading or have the experience of trading, they're the one that's most critical. The only thing that they gauge success or a criteria is based upon if it's pumping. Is it pumping on uh March 20th, 2025? And if the answer is no, then the thesis must be wrong. But that is not the way to look at it, because when it comes to investing, especially understanding Murad's thesis, because me and him, we do share a lot of the same views when it comes to meme coin. Um, so his view is looking at it long term. My view is also looking at it more on a long term type of play, because again, over the years, one thing that I consistently have seen is, had I just held long term for a lot of these different tokens that I've been in, I would have been super well off. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been Lambos upon Lambos right about now. But the fact of the matter is, I had the trading mentality, because I came from the stock market as a day trader, as a penny stock day trader. So I viewed crypto pretty much the same way. It took me years in order for me the light bulb to finally click in my head to see that really trading tokens uh, you know, in crypto is not the way to go. And the people that are constantly trading meme coins, they do not have the experience, and they're going to eventually lose a lot of money. Like, the people who typically trade leverage on these tokens, yes, they could win. If they have the skill set, they have the mindset, they're going to be able to win. But majority of the people, when it comes to trading, the odds are heavily stacked against you. Market makers, they're going to manipulate, especially if you try to leverage, because they could see your position, guys. You got to keep this in mind, especially if you're trying to trade with heavy margin. They could see where your stop out is at, and they could take that asset directly to where it's at to get you out the game, then for you to actually be right. And this is why, I don't like margin when it comes to, or trading with margin when it comes to that. But that's a separate video. But let's get on to Murad's thesis. And again, this is what I've been saying, and we're gonna really break it down, like why it actually makes sense, because these are some of the stuff that I've been saying for years. He said in this post that study coins that are 1 year old, at least 1 years old. Before he said 6 months, but now he changed it to 1 years. That's one of the things that I've been saying. And the reason why you want a token that has been around for at least 1 year, because it is all about the data, guys. You know, new tokens that come out, they barely have any data. You see just one pump, and you don't really know where this thing is gonna go. And this is why when people were like, shilling me new coins and stuff like that, I tend to stay away, because again, I don't know if this token is gonna make, because most tokens, think about this, and this is all stats. This is all statistic driven. Most token do not make it past 6 months. So if a token is out more than a year, then the likelihood of that token doing well, and it still has a community, the likelihood of that token being a top token is highly in the favor of that token. So once you put that 1 year criteria out the way, you're only going, after the tokens that's cream of the crop, the ones that's going to survive. Because one thing about it, if you've been long enough, you'll get into a new token just to see that thing die off, the dev run off. It's not successful like how they thought they were going to be, and boom, the project is dead. On to the next. because a lot of the tokens that was out back in May when we became a CTO, they're no longer here, right? Snooze was one of them, I think, or Sleepy or something like that. Um, that I seen an influencer, they were promoting it, but next thing you know, it's gone by 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and that is the nature of the game. It's not like he purposely just shielded a bad token. It's just the nature of the game because a lot of these tokens typically don't survive. So this is why. And also, too, the purpose for the 1 year is now you're able to see a little bit more data as far as where support resistance is at. And you could be a little bit more confident in your entry. And also, the bag holders, the people who didn't have the best intention for the project, after a year, majority of them would probably be out. And it's going to be left up to the true believers as far as with the project. That's how it typically works. You give something enough time, it will pan out and show its true colors. And this is exactly what you're getting after this token been around for 2 years and 5 months, guys. 2 years and 5 months. So it meets that criteria. Can become very big. Can this token become very big? And the answer to that, for me, when it comes to Roaring Kitty, the answer is yes. And the reason why it's yes is because of the narrative. Roaring Kitty has so many different narratives, and one of the ones that we hardly talk about, and I'm just gonna bring it up, is the whole Keith Gill effect, guys. Keith Gill, the Roaring Kitty. This is what our token is inspired by. So of course he makes a post. Of course he comes back and he's active on X. Guess what's gonna end up happening to our token? It is gonna go parabolic. It is gonna go crazy because last time that he was active, I'm talking about posting on the day-to-day basis. This token right here, which at the time, they were the leading Roaring Kitty on the blockchain. Currently, right now, since they don't have a community, current market cap is at 579K. But once Keith Gill started making his comeback, guess how much volume this saw, guys? It's seen over $57 million in volume. And once first he did the comeback, this went crazy. Then he did the second comeback back in June, and he just kept posting. And it did another in a close of what 3-4 days. It did somewhere around $50 million in volume. So so the question is, can this be big? Based upon the narrative, yes, it could actually be big. And this is just one narrative. We also have other narratives. Now that we're on Shibarium, liquidity event for Shibarium, where there's going to be forced buy-ins for Roaring Kitty in order for people to provide liquidity if we are selected as one of the projects that can be the project to provide treat rewards if people provide liquidity. So if that's the case, that's going to be massive for us. Forced buy-ins, people coming in, buying Roaring Kitty, putting that onto Shibarium, and creating liquidity. That's massive in itself as well too. So can this be big? Absolutely. And to think when it was at its all-time high, we're looking at a $15 million market cap. Reaching a $15 million market cap in crypto it's not that hard. Reaching $100 million market cap is not that hard in crypto. Reaching $1 billion market cap, it's becoming a common thing. So can this reach to $1 billion? I think the answer is absolutely yes. So the next thing on it is survive multiple 70% drops. Have that happen to Roaring Kitty? And the answer is yes from the get-go. Like, you can't really see it. Let me see if I could try to zoom in on this. This survived, I want to say 6 or 7. Like, this is the first 70% drop, right? Boom. This was actually more like a 90% drop. 90. Next thing you know, it ended up surpassing all-time highs, guys. So this is one. Then it had another drop right here, a huge drop right here, which was a 7%, 70% drop. And guess what ended up happening? Boom, surpassed all-time highs. So that's two, right? Boom, surpassed all-time high because at the time this was the all-time high. Then next thing you know, well, you had a 70% drop here, 70% drop here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 70% or more drops, right? And guess what ended up happening after we had this nice little 70 or 60, it was like around 60 or 70 percent slowly drop. That's what we end up doing. Boom. The next thing you know, we had another one. And we survived, and we had this bounce, and now we're currently still, because the overall market is down. Like, this token has survived 70% drops. So it fits this category. Holder count growing every week. If you look at our what you call them, this has just been steady, just going up, guys. Week over week, day over day. We're getting more holders because at one point in time we had about 100 holders, and through community effort, through community shilling, community rating, this number grew, guys. This number grew by over 10x holder count. So, and it even goes back to, does this have room to grow? Guys, most projects nowadays, they have more than 10,000 holders, guys. 10,000 holders. We are just getting, we're still a baby when it comes to this, and we're still holding on strong more than most projects. This is the big one. Have people hustling hard for free. Meaning you have people coming on X, shilling, rating, posting about the token. I'm an influencer. I talk about this for free. I do not get paid to talk about Roaring Kitty. It's just the project that I believe in. And the reason why I believe in, because it's the prime example, guys. We've seen examples like Bitcoin, we've seen Doge, we've seen communities like that, Shiba Inu. And the thing that happens time and time again is these have communities, these have raiders, these have shillers, these tokens survive, pretty much the same thing that he's talking about. These are, like, when he's talking about this, he's essentially talking about Bitcoin. He's essentially talking about Doge. He's essentially talking about Shiba Inu. Like, these are the tokens that is the example, because he's saying, like, this is my thesis, but you could actually go and back test his thesis on different tokens, and just to see, like, is he saying is correct? And the answer to that is yes. Shiba Inu, prime example of this. I remember when Shiba Inu went parabolic, I was like, oh my god, I should have bought more. You know what I mean? Especially like after seeing it going this first time. But guess what ended up happening, guys? And this is another thing, like back to one of the videos that I made, you just only need 1 month. That's what I had talked about. You only just need 1 month in order for you to make life changing gains. Like, all of these big parabolic move, it just happened within a few days. This one happened within a few months. Within a month. You just need one big moment just to be able to make life changing gains, and that's what tend to happen. And the rest of the time, if it's not within that moment, you're gonna be able to see sideways consolidation. And this is the time where people actually becomes wealthy. Not when it actually goes up. People become wealthy when they start accumulating during these periods right here. Because look, it had this big pump, accumulation zone, big pump, accumulation zone, then followed by another big pump. Now we're, and for Shiba Inu, it's currently being accumulated. Guess what's going to happen after that? A big pump. Same thing with Turbo, guys. People were not interested in Turbo until it started going parabolic. This is when I found out about Turbo. I didn't find out about Turbo when it was here because nobody cared. It's sideways consolidation. Nobody cares. Like, again, most of the time, you're not going to find out about a popping asset until it starts going parabolic, but that's the wrong time to buy. If 90% of traders or investors lose money, then why are you doing what the 90% are doing? Guess when 90% of people were buying Turbo? When it was going up. Guess when I was buying Turbo? Last week. You know what I mean? I didn't buy Turbo not nan time out of this whole run up because, again, it was going up. Not interested. I was like, cool, dang, I missed it. But the only time I started getting interested in it until it started coming down. Because guess what? This is when people are not interested in it. Same thing with PopCat. I seen PopCat like once it was going all this parabolic move, and I was like, man, when is this thing gonna ever come down? Guess when I bought this? Last week. I skipped all of this parabolic move due to the fact that, again, 90% of people were interested in it when it was over here. When am I interested in it? When it's going down. Roaring Kitty, prime example right now. People were interested in Roaring Kitty. You know, the messages that I was getting, people were like, yo, I believe this thing is going to go to $1 billion market cap. Where are the people at now, guys? They're not interested because people tend to only like to see green, but that's not how the market is set up. So you putting your ideas on the market on how things are supposed to be, you're complaining like it's not this way, it's not that way. That's not how the market goes. Majority of the time, especially if you look at different assets and charts throughout history, it's going to have a moment. But the best time to really get into these assets is when people are not interested in it. You know, sideways consolidation. Typically, that's the signal that people are not interested in it. But yeah, history in itself, it proves what he's saying is true. Communities are more active than ever. We're still working on that, I must admit, when it comes to Roaring Kitty, because again, people people feel like parabolic moves should happen every time. But if parabolic moves are not happening, they're not interested. That's the best time to be interested, when people are not interested. Again, all you have to do, like, this is how easy trading is. 90% of people are doing something and 90% of people are losing, then why am I following 90% of the traders? Let's make it simple. Now, I can't check bubble maps. The last bubble map that it had was back 10 months ago. See, this map is 10 months old. To get a premium, you have to refresh it. I don't have premium. But majority of these wallets, like this number one wallet right here, well, at the time, the number one was Uniswap. So this one right here was like the number one holder. So if you go to their wallet right now, they currently have zero Roaring Kitty. A lot of the people that was there from the beginning, look how long ago, from the last time it sold, 239 days ago. So a lot of the people, they're long gone, guys, long gone. So if you're looking at Roaring Kitty right now is probably the best time, to being able to get in, especially being a whale in a project. Many people are not whales in any project. And Roaring Kitty gives people the opportunity for you to become a whale. And now, not only become a whale, just to be able to make life changing gains. Again, this is what I've been talking about for the past 7, 8 months, 9 months. Having life changing gains, If you want to come back the next cycle, you have that option to do so. But if you don't, you're still good for life. And this is the way that you're supposed to position your mindset into. And if you're constantly trying to chase these new launches and all this and that, and I'm sorry, you don't have an edge. You don't have an edge in these new tokens. Because the people who are running these tokens, they're the one that's typically going to make money. Some people might catch it here if they're early enough. But majority of the time, you're just going to get stuck in a project to eventually just sell at its lows. But really, guys, that is all that I have for you today. I know this video is long, but since you guys stayed all the way to the end, going on 20 minutes, that's probably my longest video. Since you guys stayed all the way to the end, I want to see in the comment section that you guys put hashtag MURAD. I want to see who all watched this video all the way to the end. Leave a like, consider subscribing. Random Arts guy signing off. Peace!